Jawari Disruption being a key player here.
That's a big one. You also see 2 Hagram Maulings, a lot of modal DFCs. Make sure you hit your land drops. And then other than that, it's counter spells and kill spells with some Shark Typhoons and Voracious Great Sharks to give the beatdowns.
Yeah, 2-0 so far. I would love to see this Dimir control in action. It looks like we're going to do just that.
This is the kind of deck building I can really get behind, where all of these cards are very clearly playing the same game. I want to draw cards, and I want to stop you from doing your stuff.
Yeah, there's 4 copies of Voracious Great Shark, and normally that's not a card you would see in an aggro deck, but it does play a tempo game pretty well alongside Shark Typhoon. It's a nice 1-2 punch in a slow developing metagame, and which seems like what we have right now.
Would you go so far as to call this Dimir deck Shark Tribal?
No. Mostly just to not give you the satisfaction. More
I respect that. I respect that. Also, I believe that the constructed tribal rules require 20 of the appropriate creature type.
No way. No, not even.
What do you mean no?
I'll come up with an example here, but we got some cool stuff happening. So
we got an Omnath getting tagged by Mystical Dispute.
It wasn't that cool. Never mind. So I thought there was going to be one more mana up, and it was going to be Omnath plus Dispute versus Dispute and Essence Scatter. That would have been real sick, but no, we're not quite there yet. Maybe in a turn or 2.
Now, right now, we're just seeing Chase Parker hit all their land drops. So far, so good on countering all of Flury's spells.
8 whack.
He has been Omnath.
There you go. There, figured it out.
That would be the classic whack tribal archetype.
Yeah, of course. And that's the thing. Okay, if you said whack tribal, I'd be like, hell yes, it's whack tribal. This is 8 shark.
Here is an escape to the wilds for Flury. Got a neutralize in hand for Parker. A couple counter spells otherwise.
Yeah, this is about to get busted up by Dispute, though. There's no way to poke the hole through this. Escape to the wilds. Plus Mystical Dispute with 6 mana here is gonna resolve, but it's gonna resolve not the way that I thought it was gonna resolve.
Yeah, Parker actually just lets it go. We have open deck lists here. Parker's aware of the disputes. Also, Flury's only going to be able to cast so many spells off of the wilds, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, like, the extra lands was the big thing. It's not so much the card advantage as it is the land advantage from Escape the Wilds, because it does give you basically a double explore on top of just like being able to main phase like Cobra into Kenrith next turn. Cobra into land Kenrith Dispute actually sounds like a heater, but it's not going to work out how Julian wants it to work.
See a 3/3 Shark cycled in on the end step for Parker, beatdowns for 3, and a 6th land drop, draw a go, living up to its classic moniker here. We'll see what Flury wants to do. We have some options here, kind of on deck from that escape. We see a Kenrith, Lotus Cobra, and Mystical Dispute as cards for this turn, as well as the Pathway being played. Pathway being played before Lotus Cobra leads me to believe that that's not part of the plan for the turn. See some deliberate tapping, no trust of the auto tapper on this Kenrith.
Maybe this is a Kenrith plus Dispute Negate turn.
Certainly could be. Attempt on Kenrith met with Essence Scatter. See if Flury fights over that. You mentioned Negate is there in the hand. We also have this Dispute that is face up to both players off the escape. And that's going to be the cast there. Parker has the mana to pay, but this is actually a pretty interesting counter war here. Parker will pay.
Oh, they're going for double dispute so they get to save the negate. I really like this play, actually.
It looks pretty nice, that second dispute. That wins the counter war. Kenrith shows up, gets haste, rumbles in for 5.
That was really nicely sequenced from Julian there.
Back over to Parker. We see Heartless Act on the Kenrith. Shark's going to get things a little closer on life totals here. We have Parker at 15, the Flury on 14.
That frantic inventory is a third one though, and that's the type of card you want to draw in this scenario. A very cheap card advantage burst that you can combine with some of your other cheap counter spells. This turn looking like a neutralize plus frantic inventory for 3 cards, or perhaps just a Voracious Great Shark to counter a Lotus Cobra. But we'll have to wait and see how this plays out.
I think it's getting pretty interesting. You mentioned that Flury has sequenced well to keep this negate in hand. The spell in hand to go with it before was Ugin, but this escape to the wilds off the top actually gives some options. Here's the Cobra. Fabled Passage is the land for turn. That's good for a nice mana boost. Lotus Cobra and fetch lands. That's nothing new.
Yeah, Fabled Passage is a really nice pairing with Lotus Cobra in most spots. It's one of the core elements of this deck to give it that mana ramp from Lotus Cobra specifically.
Once again, we see Escape to the Wilds just resolve. A couple lands, Kenrith, another Ugin, and another Lotus Cobra. That Lotus Cobra is going to show up. We got a pair of those now. We'll see if Parker fights over this one now that Flury's tapped pretty low.
This is kind of scary. I'm not really sure what Chase is supposed to do here, because that a third dispute would be a complete beating. But if you stick a Great Shark and there's not the third dispute, and you get to eat the Cobra too, and then you untap, draw 3 with Frantic Inventory for 2 mana, and attack for 8, that's just such a huge swing.
And my assumption when I see a player playing a deck that's so focused like this is that Parker has a lot of reps going in here. I assume that it's generally kind of clear when you want to go on the beatdowns here. Parker holds off on the Great Shark, suggesting that this is not the time. And these Cobras, they're going to make some more mana. We see the other Fabled Passage. We're going to drum up some lands. And I imagine it looks like an attempt on the Kenrith coming down this turn.
Yeah, Kenrith, and then the Fabled Passage actually allows for the negate as well. I think that might be better than going for the Ugin.
There goes the other Fabled Passage. We currently have 1 of each non-black mana floating in an untapped forest. There's another forest. The Cobras are going to make some mana.
Yeah, you're really seeing Lotus Cobra flex its muscles here. Those 2 copies of Fabled Passage mixed with it just allowed for some really ridiculous mana generation.
So it's 6 mana floating with 2 untapped forests. Scratch that, the forests have been tapped. So we have 8 mana in the pool.
I think this is so that they can give it haste and cast negate if necessary. This does leave the shields down, but that's kind of the nature of Lotus Cobra plus fetch lands.
So here's the attempt on Kenrith. Parker goes for neutralize over the Great Shark.
Yeah, I think the Great Shark doesn't get hit with negate, and you know multiple mystical disputes are already down. Wow.
Interesting. Yeah, neutralize just works. Flury decides that this negate is to back up one of these Ugins, and we see that frantic inventory for Parker, a bunch of cards in hand.
Yeah, that's a nice refresh. Drew an Erasure, a Great Shark, and an Essence Scatter, 3 of the 4 cards.
Shark rumbles in, Flury to 11. Draws another negate, and a lot of lands on the battlefield, and 2 Lotus Cobras with a land drop this turn. What we're looking at, we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, 12, 13 mana. So you can see Ugin and double negate on this turn.
Right. No, this is pretty sick, and it's actually a really nice hole being poked through Chase's defenses here. Great Shark and Essence Scatter can only counter creatures, so the only way for Chase to interact here is actually the Ashiok's Erasure, and the negate's going to very easily check that.
So there's Ugin. Here's Ashiok's Erasure. That's going to eat negate number 1.
Yeah.
And Essence Scatter, Great Sharks, yeah, nothing to do with those. Great Shark counters creatures and artifacts, if I recall correctly.
Oh yeah, because he's got to eat the license plates off of the Kaladesh vehicles. I think
that's so here's Ugin.
You know, when people lose their cars into the ocean. I don't know how that happens, but it does sometimes, apparently. And then remember Jaws, and the tiger shark just had a license plate in its stomach.
It's a nice visual.
I love sharks. I don't know if you knew that about me.
That's actually the first time I've heard that. Sharks are very cool.
You know they're not very cool. Is that what you just said to me?
No, I said they are.
Oh, okay.
Come on, man.
Yeah, we was about to have fighting words, because have you ever seen the movie Meg with Jason Statham's?
Oh
my god.
So here's a cool play.
I like that.
Crawling Barons fired up here on the end step, because this gets counters 2 at a time. So Parker fires up the Barons, so now it's just floating with 2+1/+1 counters to go back Parker's turn. But in trouble, Ugin took care of that shark. And Crawling Barons has 2 counters, but that's not nearly enough to fight over Ugin. And also there's a field rune on the battlefield, so that's not great for the Barons either.
So you're telling me that Ugin did his best at Jason Statham's impression and slayed that shark?
Yeah, that was a really cranked turn.
You know, that's a good reference, because I love that movie. I love Cranked, man.
See, that one I could have guessed. That one I definitely could have guessed.
Yeah.
Cranked has big Todd Anderson energy.
Yeah, you mean high octane start to finish? Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I get it.
It is quite possibly in top 5 action movies ever made, in my opinion.
Nice.
It's just rad. You ever see Crank 2?
I did not.
Yeah, he's got a car battery for a heart or something, and he has to just keep getting electrocuted is the whole thing.
Cobra's rumbling in. Parker's to 7. And these great sharks, they've looked kind of like bad sharks.
Yeah, they're not being aggressively used. You know, we could have had a Voracious Shark counter a Lotus Cobra earlier. We could have Voracious Shark counter a Kenrith earlier. After the 2 mystical disputes were gone, that was just an option for these Voracious Great Sharks multiple times, and Chase just chose not to do it. I'm not 100% why. I feel like at least one of them earlier would have been significantly better.
Great Shark's going to counter a Lotus Cobra. That's barely a good shark. Ugin's going to keep going to work on the life total. Parker down to 4. Draws Ashiok's Erasure. You're kind of late. That's kind of the problem that you can face with these heavy counterspell decks, though. You fall behind in the battlefield, and it's really tough to catch back up.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, also, once someone resolves an Ugin the Spirit Dragon, no matter who you are, life is difficult. Like, it's just zapping you for 3. The ultimate's relatively threatening. Permanents don't stick around on the battlefield too long, so it's really hard to pressure it. This game's over.
Another thing going on with the composition of the deck list, I'm not saying that Destroy Target Planeswalker is the best effect against Ugin. You know, that card tends to leave its mark upon resolution. But we're not seeing any Murderous Riders hanging out in Parker's list. The removal spells are aimed at removing creatures.
Yeah, the Hagra Maulings are kind of the only thing I'm seeing that can deal with it. That powerful dual face card that is a tapped land, or kind of like a pseudo Hero's Downfall for 4 mana.
I'm going to double check on this one. I thought that Hagra Mauling only hit creatures.
It's 4 mana. I'm pretty sure
it's destroy target creature.
Never mind. I'm wrong.
I've been spending a lot of time going over this set for Cube review I got going up this week on StarCityGames.com. I take notice of the downfalls, and we got a lot of cards coming in for Flury here. Oh boy. Ugin Ultimate, that's nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, when I said the game was like over, it still is. There's like a lot of things happening.
The game has not ceased to be over. Look at all these triggers. Yeah, we don't need to resolve those. Chase Parker is going to pack it in.
Yeah, the old Ugin Ultimate. That one was pretty cool actually. Just the Omnath plus a bunch of lands just is lethal because of the 4 damage. Does anything happen on the 4th Omnath trigger? No, right? I didn't think so.
It checks exactly first, second, third.
Yeah, that's what I was assuming, but I didn't know if it
See,
just started over.
See,
Let's go again.
They had to balance the card, and so they made it only first, second, third, Todd.
Oh, yeah. They could have made the mana part the third one, though, maybe.
So I love what I'm seeing on Flury's side of the sideboard screen here. All 15 cards are coming in. And now we're looking at what comes out.
It's mostly the spot removal, but it looks like a lot of the Lotus Cobras and creatures in general are coming out to dodge Essence Scatter and to dodge Voracious Great Shark. Looks like Euro is going to stay in the deck, but otherwise the removal is coming out, and a lot of the creatures are coming out just so you dodge the counter spells, I suppose.
You see
Interesting
Ugin
decision.
Largely coming out because it's just so much mana. I'm intrigued by something here. So watching game one, Escape to the Wilds it just resolved every time that Flury put it on the stack.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like if that's the play pattern you're looking at, I don't know. Is there something that changes in the sideboard with that? Because Flury is looking at boarding that card out. It is now back in the deck. I was kind of interested in that, but it looks like that one's staying in, so that makes it less interesting.
It's a new format. Both players just kind of learning the new format, as well as this Dimir control deck, not something that's really heavy on the radar. I'm sure Julian's just trying to find a configuration that looks right. As you can see, a couple lands are getting sided out. A couple of, specifically lands that tap for red, because the red is traditionally just used in these decks for removal spells and Escape to the Wilds, and of course the Omnath Splash. But alongside that, I don't really know how many creatures you want in your deck against the 4 Essence Scatters, right? I don't know if you want to try to overload it or try to dodge it in some spots. And it looks like Julian here comes up with kind of like a half and half solution.
I gotta say, Todd, I love how many lands that we saw Flury boarding out there.
Sure.
That's just something most players don't consider, right?
No, for sure. Boarding out lands is not something a lot of people do, but in matchups where you can't get flooded, it's important. But here, I think the big thing is you're just allowed to side out lands when you feel like you're just going to play Kazandu Mammoth as a land all the time. You know what I mean? Like against the Essence Scatter deck, Kazandu Mammoth is just going to be the Kazandu Refuge.
Yeah,
or
makes a lot
Kazandu
of
Valley,
sense.
excuse me.
Players keeping on 7. Parker leaning on this Hagra Mauling being a tap land. That's just fine though.
That's just good deck building, honestly, and that's not even a joke. That's just, I love the dual face cards as lands. I've been playing a lot of Modern and Pioneer, just testing some of them out, and my favorite so far is Glasspool Mimic. Perfect card, 3 mana personal clone, or a tapped blue source. Excellent design.
I am a fan. We see Lotus Cobra coming down here for Flury on turn 2. Parker is going to cast a Frantic Inventory that yields Essence Scatter, so hoping to convert that one later, but a miss on the Cobra that turn.
Missed me with that Cobra.
Temple of Deceit comes off the top after that, so Parker is still making land drops, though that might be a struggle as the game progresses.
The thing about Essence Scatter in this matchup is it's never going to be truly dead, because Essence Scattering either half of Uro is just fine. Countering it early so that you prevent a little bit of the mana development is okay, but countering it from the graveyard when they've used the escape is perfect, and it's a great use of Essence Scatter. But missing the Lotus Cobra because you drew it after they cast Cobra is kind of a bummer.
See Cobra make a mana. We see an attempt at the first hand at Uro. That eats an Essence Scatter. Parker is just kind of interested in using the mana.
Small information leak there. Since the Uro got snap countered, Julian can 100% assume that there's no Mystical Dispute. Chase can assume that Julian has no Mystical Dispute in hand.
Interesting point. Parker does draw land number 4, so that's working out. It's a Fabled Passage and a pass. But now we have another turn with the Cobra.
It might actually trick him into not playing around Negate at some point too, which is kind of interesting.
We'll see how that progresses. Here's an attempt on Omnath, and you mentioned there was a blue mana up last turn and it didn't amount to anything.
Right. The only way it would be a dispute here is if it was snap drawn, so a neutralize, a very easy cast.
Cobra attacks again. Parker to 16. Leaves the Fabled Passage up. Love that. Needs the lands. and finds a pathway. Now we have mana for a myriad of sharks. See what Flury wants to do about it. We might finally see the Lotus Cobra relevantly make mana. Not in the first main phase though. Fable passes mana. That's gonna pass, and the Lotus Cobra is gonna hang back. Makes sense as we see Shark Typhoon being cycled on the end step. Don't want to walk your snake into a shark.
Yeah, there was like a bit of a balk there. We saw a combat step where the Lotus Cobra chose not to attack, and then we saw a mana kind of disappear from the Fabled Passage. But then the passing of the turn means that they're probably just going to go for like a 4/4 shark like mid combat here, and that would be kind of rule. That would kind of rule, honestly.
All right, so the 3/3 shark is attacking, and yeah, Fabled Passage cracked. Just gonna be a bigger shark. I love that.
Have you seen my sharks? They are big. I love the Shark Tribal just losing to Shark Typhoon. Just getting decimated by the opponent Shark Typhoon.
Yeah, you need a Shark Lord to keep Shark parity here, but no such luck. 3/3 eaten by 4/4.
Hold on, I got something for this. I was trying to come up with like a Scion of Una joke because we're playing like at flash speed, but I was gonna do like a Scion of Eat, but that doesn't really. That doesn't track.
You gave it your best, bud.
I'm off it. No, I didn't. I quit. I quit in the middle.
I mean, sometimes quitting is our best.
If it's not good enough, I'm not gonna.
That's respectable.
Sometimes talking about how bad the joke is makes the joke slightly better.
A lesser man, such as myself, might have said something like Shark on of Una, but that doesn't make any sense because Una doesn't carry forward here. That's the part we're trying to replace.
Is there an Archon that buffs your other Archons or something? Or like other angels?
There's no way of knowing. All right.
Yeah,
Maze Mine Tomb, and now here we have a 4/4 shark. This one can tangle with the other 4/4.
Maybe it was a fake card that was printed into Historic. We'll never know,
It's impossible to tell.
It's just not on Gatherer. This is what's legal in Historic. It's just not there for some reason.
Shark's going to hang back. Parker's on 12, wants to actually engage in combat there, and the Tomb is going to draw a card. Wilt will be cycled.
Who do you think's supposed to just put that on Gatherer? And do you think they're just like on vacation? Like, is it hard to just earmark cards as Historic legal?
That's the kind of thing where I imagine that it's not anybody's job explicitly. Because, like, how often do you add a new format, right?
Pretty rarely. I feel like you could just assign this job to somebody to earmark cards as legal and Historic. It just like create the Historic format on your search engine.
Nah, Arena lets you search for Historic legal cards, right? It's fine.
I'm sorry, I'm dying.
Shark and snake attack. Shark's gonna eat the snake. Other shark connects.
I am. Parker Rage's Great Shark actually gets fed.
Here's a cobra. That's the only thing it's had to eat all day. It's gonna eat another. Well, it's gonna try. It'll be disputed.
Much like me when I reach for the pot of spaghetti sauce. Hand swatted away. Rage Great Shark not getting a bite.
You just dip your hand in the spaghetti sauce?
No, I don't dip my hand. I get, like the little wooden spoon.
Of course you got swatted away. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So Lotus Cobra's good. That means Uro's probably good, and that's going to escape. Some more Cobra mana could activate the Tomb. No need, though. Still have 2 mana otherwise. Leave up that. Well, you're not leaving up the negate, but who cares? Chase Parker is going to pick him up. Julian, Felix, Flury advances to 3-0 on 4-color ramp. Chase Parker, our Dimir control player, is going to fall to 2-1. I liked the look of this deck list. I would hope that you have some easier games in this matchup for Parker's sake today.
Yeah, that seemed pretty rough. Both players played hard. One of them had a bunch of mystical disputes in the main deck, while the other one was a heavy counterspell deck with Voracious Great Shark.
Mystical Dispute.
Checks out.
Yeah, that card's pretty good.
You know that have you seen that astronaut meme running around where it's like the one astronaut looks at the Earth and it's just like, wait, was it always so blue or whatever? But it's just like always was.
So the meme format would be they're looking at the Earth and they say, wait, it's all blue. And the other one says, always has been.
Right. You get it. You've seen it. Okay, clearly you know what I'm talking about. So I wanted this meme, except the Earth is just Euro. And then that's what, that's the last 9 months of standard.
Wait, it's Euro?
Always has been.
Always has been. Yeah, I'm happy that Ether Gust is no longer legal, but you do got to watch out for those disputes.
Yeah, I mean, Mystical Dispute wasn't in the same cycle as those other hate cards. Little blue on blue crime, and Mystical Disputes was in Eldraine, and I mean, it's still obviously super good. When the format is dominated by ramp decks that have a primary, or blue has one of their primary colors, a 1-mana counterspell on a lot of those payoffs, like Uro. A lot of the